Welcome to your deep dive on conquering the real estate exam.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge step towards this new career you're going for.
Absolutely.
You've gathered some really good resources,
Yes.
and we're going to help you pull out the most valuable tips so you walk into that exam room feeling confident and prepared, not overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that both of these sources emphasize the importance of knowing how the exam works.
Okay.
It's not just about knowing the material, it's knowing how to navigate the test. That's a big edge.
Okay, so two-pronged attack content mastery and exam strategy.
That's right.
Let's start with how to approach studying.
Okay.
One source suggests a structured schedule using something called the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Classic.
Okay.
For a reason.
Yeah.
The Pomodoro technique is all about focusing in 25-minute bursts
Okay.
with short breaks in between.
Right.
And that's how our brains work. We're not meant to just go hours and hours and hours. By working in those rhythms, you're going to retain more information.
Makes a lot of sense, especially for a topic as detailed as real estate.
Right.
Both sources also talk about active recall, things like flashcards.
Yeah.
Both the old school and the digital, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Takes me back to cramming for history tests.
Yeah, but it's more than just memorization.
Okay.
When you actively try to recall information, you're strengthening the neural pathways in your brain,
Okay.
making it easier to access that knowledge during the exam.
So it's like a workout.
It is like a workout.
Mental workout for all that real estate knowledge you're trying to pack in there.
That's right.
Both sources also mention finding a study buddy or forming a study group.
Yes.
Is that something you recommend?
Absolutely. Because it's easy to get discouraged when you're studying alone.
Right.
So having that support system keeps you accountable and you can bounce ideas off each other.
Right.
And that really helps you understand the material more deeply.
Okay, so we got our study plan down. Now let's dive into the content itself.
Okay.
What are some of the key areas to focus on?
So both sources emphasize the importance of getting a grasp on real estate terminology and vocabulary.
Right.
It's like learning a new language.
Yeah, because you don't exactly hear words like easement or escrow
Right.
in everyday conversation.
Right, exactly. And that's where it can get really tricky.
Right.
An easement
Yeah.
is the right to use someone else's property for a specific purpose,
Okay.
like a shared driveway.
Hmm.
Understanding these terms is key to understanding the concepts.
So it's not just memorizing the definitions, it's understanding how they apply in the real world.
That's right.
Okay, what about the math involved in real estate?
Oh,
A lot of people get intimidated by that.
it's interesting. Both sources emphasize that you don't need to be a math whiz to do well on this exam.
Okay.
It's more about understanding the formulas
Right.
and how they're used
Okay.
in real estate scenarios.
One source even says to master the formulas and get comfortable using a basic calculator.
That's right.
No need to pull out the calculus textbooks.
No, you do not need calculus.
Okay, great.
One of the best ways to get comfortable with the math in the exam format is by taking practice exams.
I've always found practice tests helpful, like a dress rehearsal for the main event.
It is a rehearsal, but it's more than that.
Okay.
Practice exams can help you pinpoint your weak areas so you can focus your study efforts there.
Okay.
And since the wording of those questions can be tricky, practice exams will help you get used to how they're phrased. Yeah.
So we prepped with practice exams and feel good about the content.
Okay.
Now, what about the big day itself?
Right.
What kind of practical advice do the sources have for test day?
It's interesting how both sources really emphasize being prepared for anything beyond just knowing the material. It's like managing the mental game, too.
Interesting, like what specifically?
Both sources stressed arriving at the testing center early and familiarizing yourself with the rules.
All right.
You don't want any last-minute surprises.
Right.
They also suggest reading each question carefully.
Okay.
Sometimes even one missed word can change the meaning.
Easy to get caught up in the nerves and just skim. So, slow down. Pay attention.
Exactly.
Any other test-taking wisdom?
Yeah. If you hit a tough question, don't get bogged down.
Okay.
Skip it and come back to it later.
Okay.
Sometimes a later question might even jog your memory and help you answer the one you skate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
They inform each other.
Exactly. And resist the urge to change your answers.
Okay.
Usually that first instinct is the right one.
Okay. One source mentioned a program called Exam Scholar.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed to have some unique features.
Yeah. The money-back guarantee if you don't pass on the first try.
Wow.
That's pretty striking.
Yeah.
Shows they have a lot of confidence in their program. And they also mention an AI tutor feature
Right.
Sounds like that would be worth looking into.
For sure. Something to add to the research list.
Yes.
One thing that really stood out to me from the sources was the emphasis on seeking advice from experienced real estate agents.
Yes.
Makes sense, but easy to overlook.
It's invaluable,
Yeah.
to tap into their firsthand experience.
Right.
They've already gone through it. They know how it works.
Right. It's like having a guide who's already navigated the terrain you're about to explore.
Exactly.
So they're not just mentors, they're trailblazers.
Right.
All of this is great advice, but what about the content itself?
Yeah.
Let's dig a little deeper into some of the key real estate concepts that trip people up.
One area that often causes confusion is the different types of property ownership.
Okay.
You have freehold estates, which means you own the property outright,
Okay.
but then you have leasehold estates, where you're essentially renting the property
Oh.
for a fixed period.
So freehold's like owning your house and leasehold is like renting an apartment.
That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
And then within freehold estates, you have different types of ownership, like joint tenancy,
Okay.
tenancy in common, and sole ownership.
Okay.
Each one has its own legal implications.
So it's not just about knowing the definitions,
Right.
it's understanding the nuances of how they actually play out in real-life situations.
Exactly.
Speaking of real-life situations,
Yeah.
let's talk about real estate transactions.
Okay.
This is where understanding contracts and disclosures is crucial.
That's right, because buying or selling a property
Right.
isn't just a handshake deal.
Right.
There's a lot of legal paperwork involved.
Yeah, and it's important to understand the different types of contracts.
Yes.
Purchase agreements,
Right.
listing agreements,
Yeah.
lease agreements.
That's right.
Each one outlines the rights and obligations of
yeah.
the parties involved.
And disclosures are all about transparency,
Right,
making sure all parties have the necessary information
right.
to make informed decisions.
So sellers are required to disclose any known material defects
Yes.
with the property, and buyers need to understand their due diligence responsibilities.
That's right.
So it's a two-way street. Everyone needs to be upfront and honest
Right.
to ensure a smooth transaction.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about financing.
Okay.
This is where those real estate math formulas come into play.
Oh, yes. Mortgages, interest rates, amortization.
Yes.
This is where a lot of people start to sweat.
Right.
But you mentioned earlier that you don't need to be a math whiz
That's right.
to master this part of the exam.
You don't.
Okay.
It's more about understanding the concepts
Right.
and applying the formulas correctly.
Okay.
For example, knowing how to calculate a mortgage payment based on the loan amount,
Okay.
interest rate,
Hmm.
and loan term.
So it's practical math focused on real-world scenarios.
Exactly.
And practice exams are a great way to get comfortable with these calculations.
That's right.
But beyond the technical aspects, there's also the ethical dimension of real estate.
Yes. Both sources highlight the importance of adhering to a strict code of ethics.
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Real estate agents are entrusted with people's biggest financial decisions.
Right. There's a lot of responsibility there.
It's about putting the client's best interests first, being honest and transparent,
Right.
and avoiding any conflicts of interest.
So it's not just about closing deals.
Yeah.
It's about building trust and maintaining a good reputation.
Exactly.
What other key real estate concepts should we cover?
Well, one area that often trips people up is zoning and land use regulations.
Okay, tell me more about zoning.
Basically, zoning laws determine how land can be used in a particular area.
Okay.
For example, residential, commercial, industrial, or agricultural.
So you can't just build a factory
Right.
in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
Exactly. And these laws are put in place to protect property values,
Hmm.
ensure compatible land uses,
Right.
and promote orderly development.
It's all about creating a sense of community and balance.
Right. And speaking of community, another important concept to understand is fair housing laws.
Yes.
These laws prohibit discrimination in housing
Right.
based on race, religion, national origin, familial status, disability,
That's right.
and other protected characteristics.
So everyone has an equal opportunity to find housing,
Right.
regardless of their background.
Okay.
And real estate agents play a crucial role in upholding these laws
Right.
and promoting fair housing practices.
It sounds like there's a lot to learn,
Yeah.
but it's also incredibly interesting.
It is.
It's more than just transactions and paperwork.
Right.
It's about communities building a future.
Exactly. And that's what makes this profession so rewarding.
Yeah.
You're not just selling houses, you're helping people achieve their dreams.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's not just about the deal, it's about the impact you're making.
Speaking of impact, Another key area to understand is environmental regulations and sustainability.
Right.
This is becoming increasingly important in real estate.
Things like energy efficiency, water conservation, reducing your carbon footprint.
Exactly. Buyers are more eco-conscious than ever before.
Hmm.
And it's important for real estate agents to be knowledgeable about green building practices and sustainable features.
So it's not just about location, location, location anymore.
Right.
It's also about being environmentally responsible.
Precisely. And as you gain experience in this field, you'll find that real estate is constantly evolving.
Okay.
New technologies are emerging, market trends are shifting, laws and regulations are being updated.
So it's a field that requires continuous learning and adaptation.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
You'll never stop learning and growing in this profession.
We've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from study strategies to key real estate concepts, ethical considerations.
Right.
I feel like I've learned a ton.
Me too. But there's one final point I want to emphasize.
Okay.
And it goes back to what we discussed earlier about understanding the why behind the information.
I'm all ears. What's
Yeah.
this crucial final point?
It's about seeing this exam not as a hurdle to overcome, but as a stepping stone to a fulfilling and impactful career.
I love that reframing.
Yeah,
It's not just about passing a test, it's about embarking on a new journey.
exactly. Embrace that sense of purpose
Okay.
and let it fuel your motivation as you prepare for this exam.
So much of success is about mindset, isn't it?
It is.
Believing in yourself and your ability to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. And remember, this is just the beginning. The real learning starts when you're out there working with clients, navigating the complexities of the market, making a real difference in people's lives.
And that's what makes it exciting. Every transaction, every client interaction
Yes.
is an opportunity for growth and learning.
And don't forget the network you're building along the way.
Right?
Those experienced agents you reached out to for advice,
Hmm.
they can become valuable mentors and resources throughout your career.
It's like having a support system for success.
Exactly.
Speaking of success,
Yeah.
what does that look like for you? What are your goals once you pass this exam and launch your real estate career?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's one that only you can answer, but I encourage you to think big.
Okay.
Dream boldly.
Hmm.
What kind of impact do you want to have on your clients and your community?
Because this is just the first chapter in your real estate story.
That's right.
What kind of legacy do you want to create?
Those are the questions that will keep you motivated and inspired long after you've aced this exam.
So you've got the knowledge, the strategies, the mindset,
Yes.
and now a vision for your future.
You got it.
What else could you possibly need?
Perhaps one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked about the importance of understanding the why behind the rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
But as you gain experience, don't be afraid to question those whys.
I like that. So not just accepting things at face value,
Right.
but thinking critically and looking for ways to improve the system.
Exactly. The real estate industry is constantly evolving. Be a part of that evolution. Be an innovator. Be a voice for positive change.
Wow, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
So from mastering the content to embracing lifelong learning, this deep dive has really equipped you with the tools and insights you need to not just pass the exam, but to thrive in your real estate career,
Absolutely.
feeling ready to conquer the world.
You absolutely should remember success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about the journey itself. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and never stop learning.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
We're so excited for you and can't wait to hear about your future success stories.
Yes.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep reaching for those dreams.